Battle through the heavens, Grand World. Chapter 56. Preparations for concocting the pill. Assimilate. As soon as Yi Tianqian said those words, Xiaoyan suddenly felt as if the air had frozen. Immediately, his eyes flashed with a thoughtful look. These two words did not seem to be difficult to understand. After Yi Tianqian said those two words, he did not say anything. He quietly looked at Xiaoyan, who was deep in thought. At the same time, he calmed down the shock in his heart. When he thought of this for the first time, he was also shocked. However, the more he thought about it, the more reasonable it made. In the end, he still accepted the idea with shock. Elder Yi, assimilate. Could it be that this kid's soul and prestige power spell are about to become one? After thinking for a moment, Xiaoyan finally lifted his head and spoke uncertainly. He saw Yi Tianqian nod his head. What was going on? This tiny soul of his had actually assimilated with the prestige power spell that even Yi Tianqian couldn't understand. This wasn't supposed to be a joke. The so-called assimilation meant that the two of them would gradually merge into one. The most important characteristic of assimilation was the sharing of power and damage. In other words, Xiaoyan's soul would have the ability of the prestige power spell in the future, and his mid-true monarch stage soul might be able to reach the late true monarch stage. In fact, the stronger the soul aura was, the better it would be for suppressing the medicine pill's fury and controlling the flames. If it was just this point alone, Xiaoyan would be overjoyed. However, there was another characteristic of assimilation. It was also the reason why Xiaoyan's expression changed drastically. That was to share the damage. Currently, the prestige power spell would never participate in any earth-shattering war with Xiaoyan. Therefore, there was no harm to it, but every time it encountered an extremely powerful ki, it would break free from Xiaoyan's control. It absorbed that ki crazily. The azure ancient profound bird from before. In the fire dragon space after that, the violent ki almost caused Xiaoyan's mind to collapse. If his body couldn't withstand the damage, he would have to let his fragile soul bear it in the future. Thinking of this, Xiaoyan had the urge to curse. Wasn't this forcing him to die? Seeing the drastic change in Xiaoyan's expression, Yi Tianqian could only sigh helplessly. The assimilation of soul force and prestige power spell had brought tremendous benefits, but there were also many disadvantages. Xiaoyan's strength was too low, and he couldn't even control the prestige power spell. In the future, this little guy's soul would suffer. Yi Tianqian patted Xiaoyan's shoulder and said with a smile, "Since such a thing has already happened, no matter how furious you are, it won't change anything. At least for now, the enhancement of your soul will bring you a lot of benefits." Xiaoyan smiled bitterly and nodded his head solemnly. Although that was the case, Xiaoyan still felt a headache when he thought of the pain that his soul would suffer in the future. Your soul is at the peak of intermediate true monarch stage now, but according to my observation, even the weaker late true monarch stage souls aren't as strong as yours. No matter what, your foundation of early true monarch stage is pretty good. After calming down, Xiaoyan let out an excited breath. With a thought, he looked at Yi Tianqian and asked, "Elder Yi, how do you divide the soul power?" The soul is a very vague thing, and there is no clear definitive characteristic. If you divide it according to the medicine pill you can refine, it will be divided into 5 levels. The lowest level is the true monarch stage, and the medicine pills that can be refined below the 4th grade are refined. Above it was an alien realm. Only those who had the strength of an alien realm soul could be considered a true alchemist. At this moment, he could probably concoct a tier 6 medicine pill, and above the alien realm was an illusionary realm. A soul at that level had already reached a mystical realm. If you can advance in the future, I can feel it. The soul of an illusion realm is enough to refine a tier 8 medicine pill. Above the illusion realm is an ancient stage. The soul will return to the ancient era and experience the desolate and boundless feeling. The soul will be reborn. Once you reach this level, just like me, your soul will be able to survive for 10,000 years after death. With a faint smile, Yi Tianqian said with some emotion. Gulp. Xiaoyan couldn't help but twitch his throat. If this ancient stage soul was so powerful, then wouldn't the soul of the last realm be heaven-defying? The soul of the last realm is the highest realm that all alchemists dream of. It is almost a legendary realm, the soul of a saint. According to ancient records, there were once alchemists who had reached this realm. A soul alone was enough to instantly kill some of the weaker supreme saints. Those Tier 9 ancient stages that required several years to be refined by ancient stage soul alchemists. In their eyes, it is just a trivial matter. Xiao Yan couldn't help but roll his eyes. A soul at this level was too abnormal. To be able to instantly kill a supreme saint with a single thought, someone who could reach this level was definitely an absolute expert who stood at the peak of the great world. This kind of thing is still too far away for you. With your current soul strength, you should be able to refine some low tier 2 medicine pills. Since the soul transformation is successful, you must also master alchemy. Yi Tianqian looked at the soul that was being suppressed in the sky and said with a faint smile. Xiao Yan nodded his head obediently. A layer of wild joy immediately surged into his eyes. He had already experienced the benefits of being an alchemist in Fighting Key Continent a long time ago. No one could compare with him in terms of appeal and skill in alchemy. Although he didn't dare to say that he was reckless, at least he wouldn't appear weak when facing some people or objects. His right hand stretched out slowly, and the suction force instantly increased explosively. It absorbed the medicinal ingredients of the 30 batches of returning clarity pill in the distance before him. Yi Tianqian did not even look at them before throwing all of them to Xiao Yan. You should familiarize yourself with your soul these few days and stabilize your realm. 10 days later, it will be time to start concocting the pill. After storing all 30 sets of medicinal ingredients into the storage ring, Xiao Yan once again recovered his senses. By the time he recovered, he was already somewhere in the large forest. Shaking his head helplessly, Xiao Yan looked around. Ever since his soul had transformed into the soul of the great world, he could faintly feel that he had completely merged with this world. The speed at which he absorbed the origin monarch key had also increased tremendously. He was now able to control the origin monarch key in his body with greater ease. The soul surged out from between his brows and instantly covered an area with a radius of nearly 100 miles. Any movement of the wind and grass in the area covered by the soul appeared in Xiao Yan's mind, and it was dozens of times stronger than before. A punch landed on a huge tree. Wood splinters flew everywhere. The tree trunk, which was thicker than Xiao Yan's waist, was penetrated by his fist. Xiao Yan chuckled and retracted his fist. There was not even a red mark left on it. As Xiao Yan's strength and soul increased, his physical body was also strengthened rapidly. Elder Yi, Xiao Yan will never forget your great help, Xiao Yan said with a solemn expression. A light flashed in his eyes. He gently touched the storage ring with his finger. In the deepest part of the storage ring, there was the soul origin of his ancestor, Xiao Zhan. Ancestor Xiao Zhan was one of the few people Xiao Yan respected from the bottom of his heart. Back in the Fighting Key Continent, he had promised him that one day, if he advanced into the Fighting Monarch, he would definitely find a way to revive him. Now, he was an imperial warrior who was several times stronger than the Fighting Monarch. With Elder Yi, an ancient stage soul expert, by his side, he found a way to revive his ancestor. It shouldn't be difficult. Currently, Elder Yi and ancestor Xiao Zhan had the same problem. If his ancestor could be resurrected, then, there was a possibility that Elder Yi could be resurrected as well. When he thought of this, Xiao Yan took a deep breath. His eyes, which were as calm as an ancient well, were shining brightly. His heart was also beating strongly. For the next 10 days, Xiao Yan did not waste any time. Apart from spending 6 days to completely consolidate his strength at the peak of the sovereign realm, his soul strength at the peak of the intermediate true monarch stage was gradually being familiarized with by the former. His control became more and more smooth. In the remaining time, Xiao Yan walked barefoot in this seemingly endless illusionary realm. He had also encountered some ferocious-looking people along the way. Their strength was only at the sovereign warrior level, the sovereign master level. As expected, all of them had become the souls of the dead under Xiao Yan's black ruler. Slowly, Xiao Yan seemed to have discovered something. The spirit beasts that appeared in the illusionary realm all released a trace of ki. When facing the first spirit beast, because of this sudden attack, the prestige power spell automatically absorbed the ki that filled the sky. Xiao Yan was caught off guard and felt as if his soul had suffered a heavy blow. His head buzzed. A force that felt like his head was going to explode came from the depths of his soul, causing his vision to turn black. His skin and flesh rolled as he was unable to dodge in time. A wound so deep that bone could be seen appeared on his chest. Enduring the splitting pain, Xiaoyan barely managed to dodge a few fierce attacks from behind. When the heart-wrenching pain in the depths of his soul had passed, Xiaoyan no longer dared to continue the battle. Immediately, he used the Monarch Flame's secret skill and killed the spirit beast with lightning speed. This was the first time in so many years that Xiaoyan felt such intense pain in his soul. The pain that penetrated deep into his soul made him feel a chill on his back. That feeling was worse than death. Xiaoyan rested for a long time before his soul regained some clarity. In the following battles, Xiaoyan was in a killing stance. Those who could not be killed in a short period of time would try their best not to release their ki to attack. As the number of spirit beasts killed increased, Xiaoyan had a rough understanding of these spirit beasts. According to what he knew, there were devil beasts that contained their own unique ki in their bodies. They were at least at the level of middle-rank heavenly beasts, and in addition to the extraordinary intelligence of these spirit beasts, presumably, their true bodies were the peak experts that stood at the peak of the beast race. Elder Yi might have seen them before when he was alive, but according to the appearance of those holy beasts after his death, created with an incomparably powerful soul. Apart from killing the spirit beasts, Xiaoyan also picked a lot of medicinal ingredients to refine the returning clarity pill and some other low-grade medicine pills. In the great world, he was considered a novice. Currently, he could only rely on continuously refining medicine pills to improve his alchemy standards, and these low-grade medicinal ingredients could not be lacking. 10 days slowly passed under Xiaoyan's high-intensity process. After the estimated time in his heart had arrived, Xiaoyan had already quietly stood in the forest, waiting for the change in the scene in front of him. Soon, the space in front of him distorted. When Xiaoyan appeared once again, he was already standing on the limestone square. His eyes had just gathered when he was attracted by a dark red object that was as tall as a person in the middle of the square. It was a medicine cauldron. The medicine cauldron was dark red in color. There were a few lifelike fire dragons carved on the cauldron walls. The dragon scales on the fire dragons seemed to flash with a dim light. Under the reflection of the sunlight, the dark red dragon eyes. It was as if there were clusters of flames burning gently. The fire dragons seemed to be moving in a certain direction. The arrangement was very reasonable. The other parts of the medicine cauldron. There was a faint trace left behind by the erosion of time, but it added some vicissitudes and ancientness to it. The medicine cauldron was filled with a majestic aura. When Xiaoyan saw this medicine cauldron for the first time, it was as if an ancient ferocious beast that had been hibernating for tens of thousands of years had appeared in his mind. An ancient aura that caused one's scalp to go numb swept over. However, Xiaoyan, who had the prestige power spell, naturally wouldn't be affected at all. Apart from the heart-wrenching pain that came from his soul, Xiaoyan's facial expression didn't change at all when faced with this ancient ferocious ki. A breath of cold air was exhaled from the root of his teeth. Xiaoyan shook his slightly dizzy head and helplessly looked at his chest. This old man was too lively. He couldn't wait to absorb the ki that came into contact with him. Sighing, Xiaoyan's gaze once again turned towards the dark red medicine cauldron. At this moment, the space beside the medicine cauldron distorted, and then a figure stepped into the air. "How is it, little guy? With your eyesight, what do you think of this cauldron?" Before he finished his words, Yi Tianchen was already standing beside the medicine cauldron, looking at Xiaoyan with a smile on his face. His eyes swept across the cauldron once more, and he couldn't help but praise it in his heart. Xiaoyan immediately said respectfully, "Good cauldron. It is definitely the best medicine cauldron that this kid has ever seen." Hearing these words, Yi Tianchen also smiled complacently. At that time, he knew that the medicine cauldrons in the lower realms could not be compared to the medicine cauldrons in the great world. But every time he heard someone praise this Nine Dragons Flame Cauldron, he would feel a wave of pride that came from the bottom of his heart. Because this medicine cauldron was the same as the Thousand Leaves Ancient Monarch. Fire and the Little Dragon. It was the pride of his life. Chapter end. Chapter 57. Different ways of concocting pills. That's of course. My Nine Dragons Flame Cauldron is a famous heaven cauldron in every domain. 10,000 years ago, when I combined my superb alchemy skills with this medicine cauldron, it could be said to be unparalleled under the heavens. Hearing Yi Tianchen's complacent words, although there were some parts of Yi Tianchen's words that he was boasting about, It could be seen from his words that the former had once held great weight in the great world. And this 9 dragons flame cauldron was one of the most important parts. Heaven cauldron. Recovering his thoughts, Xiao Yan noticed this sensitive word and couldn't help but ask. That's right, heaven cauldron. Yi Tianqian reached out his hand and gently stroked the dark red medicine cauldron. It was as if he was caressing a rare treasure. Refining tier 6 and above medicine pills, ordinary medicine cauldrons will not be able to withstand that wild and violent energy. Only some special medicine cauldrons would be able to withstand it. This type of medicine cauldron. People call them heaven cauldrons. The higher the quality of the medicine cauldrons, the better. It was rumored that heaven cauldrons were divided into 9 heavens. The most mysterious cauldron of the 9 heavens was said to be able to increase the success rate of refining a tier 9 saint pill by 30%. Although it only belongs to the 5-day cauldron, when refining an ordinary 8th grade medicine pill, it's as easy as lifting a finger. Saint pill. Success rate increased by 30%. Xiao Yan was deeply shocked by the news that Yi Tianqian had said. He could not help but bare his teeth. He did not know how difficult it was to refine a holy pill, but to refine a grade 9 treasure pill in the lower realm. He still had the experience of refining a 9th grade profound core, that was extremely exhausting. Even Xiao Yan, after advancing into the fighting monarch, even Xiao Yan could not guarantee that the success rate of refining a 9th grade profound core would be 100%. It had already reached a qualitative transformation. It was not easy to increase the success rate by 10%. For alchemists, even if it were to increase the success rate by 1,000th. Furthermore, the cauldron of the 9 heavens could increase the success rate by 30%. If an alchemist who possessed the soul of a sage were to control the cauldron of the 9 heavens to refine medicine pills. Xiao Yan's heart trembled violently when this thought appeared. Immediately, his hot blood began to boil. This scene should be sufficient to shake the various regions. However, ever since the end of the ancient era 700,000 years ago, not to mention the cauldron of the 9 heavens, I haven't even heard of the cauldron of the 8 heavens. Currently, there are less than 3 cauldrons of the 7 heavens in the great world. At the end of his words, Yi Tianqian's voice became softer and softer until it was almost inaudible. Although Xiao Yan could only vaguely hear a few words, it didn't stop him from thinking about the crazy idea that suddenly popped up in his mind. Only when Yi Tianqian snorted lightly did Xiao Yan come back to his senses. He looked at the 9 dragons flame cauldron that was as tall as a person. Immediately, he said with some disbelief, "Elder Yi, it is only refining ordinary emperor pills. There is no need for this 9 dragons flame cauldron." Yi Tianqian's old face twitched when he heard this. He looked at Xiao Yan and snorted, "Do you think I'm willing? Using the 5-day cauldron to refine the emperor pill. It's simply an insult to its name." After a pause, Yi Tianqian's tone changed. He said with a helpless and bitter smile, "But there's no other way. The other medicine cauldrons with slightly better quality on my body have long lost their spirituality after such a long time. Only this 9 dragons flame cauldron is as good as it was before. Furthermore, low-grade emperor pills must be refined within medicine cauldrons. This way, you can also see more clearly." KK. A trace of gratitude involuntarily flowed through his heart. Xiao Yan did not know what to say. He could only laugh dryly a couple of times. After which, he could not wait to get closer. He went forward and said, "Elder Yi, shall we begin?" Yi Tianqian nodded. He waved his sleeve and a large cluster of origin monarch key suddenly solidified. A cluster of extremely faint blue flame surged out from his finger. It exploded into the origin monarch key, which had a frozen expression on its face. In an instant, the origin monarch key was like dried wood that had encountered a raging flame. Then, the blue flame suddenly rose into the air. It carried a faint water vapor along with it. Then, with a whistling sound, it pounced on the 9 dragons flame cauldron like a wave. Just as the blue flame touched the 9 dragons flame cauldron, the 9 stone inscription fire dragon's dragon eyes on the wall of the cauldron suddenly lit up. After which, the blue flame instantly disappeared. Under Xiao Yan's shocked gaze, the 9 fire dragons that were emitting blue flames seemed to have come alive at this moment. They gently circled around the cauldron. In just a few breaths' time, the 9 dragons flame cauldron's cauldron wall was immediately covered by a layer of blue. In the next moment, the 9 dragons flame cauldron began to tremble slightly. This indicated that it could be placed into the medicinal ingredients. Xiao Yan, who had regained his senses, could not help but exclaim. Good fellow, it was indeed of a high grade. Even the activation method was so unique. As his thoughts ran wild, 50 sets of medicinal ingredients to refine the Return Clarity pill had already appeared in front of Yi Tianqian. He took a glance at the medicinal ingredients that were 20 more sets than before. Yi Tianqian did not say anything. With a gentle hook of his finger, a set of medicinal ingredients automatically flew in front of him. Watch carefully. During the process, I will slow down my technique. If there is anything that I do not know, I will ask at any time. A faint voice resounded in Xiaoyan's mind. At the same time, Yi Tianqian had already thrown the white pearl lotus that he had obtained from the 4 medicinal ingredients into the 9 dragons' flame cauldron. Xiao Yan immediately discarded all distracting thoughts and focused all his attention on Yi Tianqian's every action. After that, he relied on his many years of experience in refining medicine pills to swiftly understand it and memorize it in his heart. The moment the white pearl lotus entered the 9 dragons' flame cauldron, a blue fire dragon suddenly appeared out of thin air within the originally empty cauldron. When Xiao Yan saw this familiar fire dragon, he was first stunned. Then, he quickly looked outside the cauldron. There were originally 9 fire dragons circling around the medicine cauldron, but now, there were only 8 of them left. Elder Yi, this is. Seeing this scene, Xiao Yan was about to ask something when he was interrupted by Yi Tianqian. This is the unique property of the Heaven Cauldron. Refining a tier 6 and above medicine pill requires hundreds and thousands of medicinal ingredients. If the flames were to take up too much of the space within the cauldron, you only need to pour the flames into the infusion port of the cauldron wall. With the intelligence of the Heaven Cauldron, it would pour the flames into the cauldron at the most appropriate moment. This did not require human manipulation. Of course, the prerequisite is that you have enough origin monarch ki in your body. As he spoke, the blue fire dragon was like a bolt of blue lightning. It instantly wrapped around the white jewel lotus, twisting its body. The white pearl lotus had already turned into a stream of pure medicinal liquid and flowed down. The fire dragon's body trembled slightly again. A ball of flame appeared out of thin air and completely wrapped around the white medicinal liquid. After which, this cluster of flame was swallowed by the fire dragon. The fire dragon let out a soft cry. Its body twisted. When it appeared again, it was already outside the 9 dragons' flame cauldron. The fire infusion port is a part of the cauldron's artifact spirit, and it can also be used as a jade bottle to store medicinal liquids. The medicinal properties of the medicinal liquids stored in the fire infusion port will not suffer any loss. As he introduced, Yi Tianqian casually threw the 3 leaves profound flower into the cauldron. Like a white pearl lotus, another day's fire dragon entered and wrapped the medicinal liquid that was burned into his body. Very quickly, the 4 medicinal ingredients were completely refined. Yi Tianqian gently smiled and said, just 4 medicinal ingredients. I really don't have the slightest feeling. Back then, when I competed with a few other old fellows to refine a peak tier 8 medicine pill. I wonder how grand that scene was. Recalling the scene of refining an 8th grade medicine pill back then. Yi Tianqian could not help but be fascinated. Thousands of different kinds of medicinal herbs were extracted from the medicinal liquid at the same time. The blue and brown flames in the 9 dragons' flame cauldron formed fire dragons one after another. It was too much for his eyes to take in. The other few people's heaven cauldrons were also mixed with different colored flames, illuminating the sky with a 7-colored radiance. Hee. Shaking his head gently, Yi Tianqian looked at the serious Xiao Yan and said, extract the medicinal liquid from the medicinal ingredients. This step should be the same as the lower realm. Seeing Xiao Yan nod his head, Yi Tianqian pondered for a moment. He said, the next step is to fuse the medicinal liquid. To form the embryonic sovereign pill, this step. If one were to carefully study it, there are still some differences between it and the lower realm. As he spoke, Yi Tianqian flicked his finger. 4 balls of blue flames emerged from within the cauldron. Within the flames, a rich medicinal liquid emitted a light medicinal fragrance. Xiao Yan took a sniff and his eyes lit up. It was just as Elder Yi had said, the medicinal properties did not weaken in the slightest. The moment the 4 clusters of flames appeared, they slowly gathered together under Yi Tianqian's control. During this process, Yi Tianqian placed one hand on the body of a fire dragon. The origin monarch key around his body suddenly paused and surged towards the fire dragon. The fire on the fire dragon's body immediately flourished. Not a trace of the origin monarch key that surged over was left behind and was absorbed into the latter's body. Almost at the same moment that the origin monarch key from the outside world entered the fire dragon's body, a large number of cauldrons appeared out of thin air around the 4 clusters of flames within the cauldron. All of them surged into the flames that were gradually merging together. Following the influx of the origin monarch key, the medicinal fragrance also seemed to gradually become stronger. The fusion of the medicinal liquid requires a large number of origin monarch key to catalyze. Hence, every alchemist needs to have sufficient origin monarch key in their body at any time. This is also the reason why every alchemist is a cultivation genius. After all, without sufficient origin monarch key in their body, no matter how talented an alchemist is, it will be difficult to cook without rice. As he spoke, the 4 clusters of pure medicinal liquid finally merged together. Following the disappearance of the flame, a round embryonic form of an emperor pill appeared in Xiaoyan's eyes. "This is embryonic emperor pill," Xiaoyan softly muttered. He involuntarily inhaled a deep breath of air. The embryonic form of the emperor pill, which had once caused Hun Tiandi to go crazy, was actually refined in this manner. Embryonic form of the emperor pill can be considered as well. The next step is the most important step. Yi Tianqian smiled gently and slowly said, "Origin monarch qi, a large number of origin monarch qi." The refinement of medicine pills in a large world is not as complicated as in the lower realm. As long as an alchemist is patient and careful, most ordinary alchemists will be able to reach around the 2nd tier after countless practice. If one has enough origin monarch qi within one's body that can be squandered, then, a 4th stage alchemist isn't a problem either. The refinement of medicine pills below the 4th tier is very simple. It only requires medicinal herbs, medicinal formulas, and soul energy. As long as the embryonic form of the emperor pill is successfully merged, this medicine pill. Next, it was the infusion of large amounts of medicine pills. The quality of the medicine pills that were infused with 100% of the origin monarch qi was naturally higher than the medicine pills that were infused with only 50% of the medicine pills. Even if it's just a small revival pill, the highest quality medicine pills refined would still be comparable to some 2nd-grade medicine pills. After listening to Yi Tianqian's experiences, Xiaoyan hurriedly remembered them in his heart. These were all invisible treasures, and at crucial moments, they could help him avoid taking many detours. As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Tianqian waved his sleeve, causing a rustling sound in the dense origin monarch qi. Soon, the embryonic emperor pill gradually became bright under the nourishment of a large number of origin monarch qi. A faint glow was also revealed. The color changed from a single white to a faint red. The medicinal properties hidden within the medicinal liquid had been completely stimulated at this moment. Yi Tianqian only stopped pouring the medicinal liquid after around 4 to 5 minutes. He beckoned with his hand and the pale red medicine pill within the cauldron flew to the palm of the former. Yi Tianqian's eyes swept across the returning clarity pill that was emitting warmth in his hand. He threw it to Xiaoyan and said, "This medicine pill has reached the limit of absorbing origin monarch qi. You can feel it after consuming it later. According to my estimation, even if the origin monarch qi in your body can't recover quickly, it will recover by more than half in a short period of time." Xiaoyan's face was filled with excitement as he looked at the pale red medicine pill in his hand, which was the size of a longan. Although the gathering yuan pill from before was much higher in grade compared to the returning clarity pill, it was still a fighting monarch that had ascended from the fighting qi continent. The title of emperor pill was enough to attract even more attention from Xiaoyan. Now, this was the legendary medicine pill in the fighting qi continent. Hong Long. Now, Xiaoyan could finally understand why ancient monarch Tuo Shi only left the embryonic form of the sovereign pill. Fighting qi continent didn't have a large number of origin monarch qi to complete the final step of the sovereign pill. One embryonic pill was already the limit of the lower realm. If you understand, then use this 9 dragons flame cauldron to try refining it. Using the 5-day cauldron is the first cauldron to refine the pill. This brat's luck is not ordinary. Xiaoyan was slightly overwhelmed by emotions when he heard this. After which, he inhaled a deep breath of air. The suction force on his palm increased explosively. A 3-leaf profound flower had already appeared in his hand. Chapter end. Chapter 58. Determination. Grabbing the air with his hand, a cluster of scarlet flames rose into the air. After spinning a few times in the air, it shot straight towards the 9-stone inscription fire dragons. The flames surged into the fire dragons' bodies and instantly disappeared. Very quickly, a layer of crimson color surged onto the bodies of the 9 fire dragons. As if they had a life of their own, they quickly swam around the 9 dragons' flame cauldron. While the fire dragons were swimming, on the wall of the 9 dragons' flame cauldron. The wall of the 9 dragons' flame cauldron was also covered by a layer of red. Seeing that the initial preparations had been successfully completed, Xiao Yan calmed his mind and relaxed his palm. The 3 leaves profound flower had already been thrown into the cauldron. Before it landed at the bottom of the cauldron, a scarlet fire dragon had appeared out of thin air. With a roar, a pale black medicinal liquid separated and was wrapped by a cluster of flame into the fire dragon's body. After separating the other 3 medicinal ingredients, Xiaoyan's expression was calm. His many years of experience in alchemy had allowed him to develop a state where his mind remained calm. Immediately, his spiritual strength flowed out from between his brows and wrapped around the 9 dragons' flame cauldron. He was able to receive any changes within the cauldron at the first possible moment. His soul power wrapped around the 4 clusters of flames tightly. Under the urging of Xiaoyan's mind, his soul power poured into the medicinal liquid within the flames and controlled the 4 clusters of medicinal liquid to slowly merge together. Under the control of Xiaoyan's soul power, which was comparable to a late true monarch stage, the 4 clusters of medicinal liquid gradually showed signs of merging together. Puff! Just as the 4 balls of medicinal liquid were about to fuse together, the flame suddenly trembled slightly. Xiao Yan immediately cursed in his heart. Indeed, the medicinal liquid that was in the midst of fusing instantly exploded, like a black slag that was incinerated by a fire dragon that appeared out of thin air. Xiaoyan's expression did not change after his first failed pill refinement. His finger gently tapped the space between his brows. After pondering for a moment, he waved his hand once again and another set of medicinal ingredients floated in front of him. With his first experience, Xiao Yan had a more precise control over the soul power when refining medicine pills. As the medicinal properties rose and fell, Xiao Yan's soul would also sometimes be big and small. The intensity of the flames would sometimes be mild, and sometimes violent. With the enhancement of the prestige power spell's aura, Xiao Yan's control over the flame once again went up another level. The flame gradually extinguished, and an uneven embryonic medicine pill appeared. Looking at the medicine pill, Xiao Yan let out a light sigh. This time, it was the most critical step. He stretched out his palm and pressed it against the fire infusion point. The origin monarch key in his body followed his mind's control and surged out through the meridians on his arm, entering the fire dragon's body. In Xiaoyan's body, the 9 origin chains buzzed. One after another, extremely pure origin monarch key shot out from within, continuously flowing through the specific meridians. At the same time that the origin monarch key were consumed, a large amount of mottled origin monarch key flowed into Xiaoyan's body, following the meridians of the flame mantra and entering the origin monarch crystal to replenish the consumed origin monarch key. Within the 9 dragons' flame cauldron, a large amount of pure origin monarch key poured into it, continuously catalyzing the emperor pill. Under the replenishment of the origin monarch key, the surface of the medicine pill gradually became smooth. Specks of crystal light reflected off it, and at the same time, a faint medicinal fragrance assaulted his face. Xiaoyan's spirits were lifted when he smelled this medicinal fragrance. Immediately, the strength of the origin monarch key that he poured in became a little stronger. The 9 origin chains buzzing sound could even be heard outside his body. In just a little over a minute, Xiao Yan felt a weak feeling being transmitted from within his body. When he sensed this, Xiao Yan could not help but frown. Using the evolved flame mantra to absorb the origin monarch key power and refine it, he could only endure for a short period of time. Without the origin monarch key pouring in, the medicinal film on the surface of the medicine pill's body slowly dissipated. A bright and clean medicine pill the size of a longan appeared in front of Xiao Yan, emitting wisps of hot air. Emperor pill. Xiao Yan grabbed the medicine pill in his hand. He looked at the medicine pill in his hand with an excited expression. It was a legendary medicine pill in the fighting key continent. Currently, he could already rely on his own ability to refine it. I do have some experience in refining true monarch stages. However, I am still not very familiar with the infusion of origin monarch key. Moreover, I do not have a good grasp of the true monarch stage's soul. With the level of your cultivation technique and the richness of the origin monarch key in your body, you will definitely be able to break through for 2 minutes. Just as Xiao Yan was sighing with emotion, Yi Tianchen's voice suddenly rang out, pointing out some of the mistakes he made while refining the medicine pill. Medicine pill below the 4th stage basically has this method. To put it nicely, this stage is to hone one's experience. Actually, it is to burn medicinal herbs. Remember, the great world would never lack alchemists below the 4th stage. Alchemists of this level could only flaunt their prowess in some small cities. In the various regions, alchemists of the 4th stage and above. To be respected by others. Upon hearing these words, Xiao Yan couldn't help but be slightly moved. Although what Elder Yi said might be true, it was enough to prove the preciousness of a high-rank alchemist. The soul of a true monarch stage, as one's strength increases. Those who could become an alchemist were all geniuses in cultivation. As such, most people could reach the peak of the true monarch stage's soul. This level of soul could be used to refine a Tier 3 medicine pill. Although it wasn't easy, the success rate could be considered to be at the 6th or 7th level. However, if one wanted to refine a Tier 4 medicine pill, one must be at the alien realm's soul. With this, the number of alchemists who could refine it decreased significantly. Not everyone had a strong soul that could break through the shackles. There was no special experience in transforming into an alien realm. The soul of a true monarch stage was the limit of a large number of alchemists. This was also the reason why alchemists above the 4th stage were so precious. Right now, your soul is at the peak of the middle stage, only half a step away from the late stage. Work hard and try your best to reach the late stage before leaving the illusion realm, and you will be able to concoct a Tier 2 medicine pill. Yi Tianchen smiled faintly. He waved his sleeve and the 9 dragons' flame cauldron appeared beside Xiao Yan. You should increase your experience these few days. Today, 1 month later, I want to see 30 recovery pills that are a little better than the ones you refined earlier. Xiao Yan was stunned. His eyes gradually lost focus as he mumbled, "Leave." Suddenly, his whole body trembled. He hurriedly said, "Elder Yi, I have something to ask you." The space not far away distorted. Yi Tianchen's voice was heard. "What is it?" Xiao Yan took a deep breath. He flicked the storage ring with his finger, and a pure and thin soul mark appeared in his hand. He looked at the soul mark that had gained a trace of vitality under the nourishment of the origin monarch key. Xiao Yan raised his head and looked at the distorted space. "Elder Yi, do you know how to revive the person who only has a soul mark left in the lower realm?" "Ah," a deep voice came from the space. After a pause, Yi Tianchen's figure suddenly appeared on Xiaoyan's face. He looked at the soul imprint in Xiaoyan's hand and said with surprise, "Why is this soul imprint so weak?" Xiaoyan's face turned bitter. He recounted what happened to Xiaozan, including the last words that Xiaozan said. "What a bastard." After listening to Xiaoyan's narration, Yi Tianchen murmured in a low voice. When he saw Xiaoyan's eyes filled with hope, Yi Tianchen smiled helplessly and started to think with his finger lightly tapping on his forehead. After a long time, Yi Tianchen finally nodded under Xiaoyan's surprised gaze and said, "Yes, yes, yes." Seeing Yi Tianchen's hesitant look, Xiao Yan became anxious. Just as he was about to ask, Yi Tianchen said in a deep voice, "From this soul imprint, your ancestor must have touched the threshold of the fighting monarch when he was alive. His soul has been nourished by a trace of the origin monarch key. Although he had fallen, the origin monarch key in his soul mark was still there. There was still a great chance for him to revive, but..." Seeing Xiaoyan's eyes suddenly brighten up, Yi Tianchen sighed and said, "But the things needed are too harsh." Xiao Yan heard this and secretly let out a sigh of relief. When he heard the last sentence, Xiaoyan's eyes lit up and said, "What do you need?" "Firstly, you must at least reach the level of a Tier 6 alchemist. Secondly, your soul must reach the level of an illusionary realm. Lastly, you must have a monarch flame that has a nourishing effect on your soul." Hearing the first 2 requirements, Xiaoyan's expression did not change much. Although he did not meet any of these two requirements, he was confident that he would definitely reach that level in the future. However, when he heard the last condition, he could not help but be stunned. The monarch flame that can nourish the soul. Xiao Yan said with a bitter smile. This condition seemed to be a little harsh. Monarch Flame Rankings 21st Spirit Soul, Di Yan. Speaking of this kind of monarch flame, even if it was Yi Tianqian who possessed a powerful monarch flame like the Thousand Leaves Ancient Monarch Fire, Soul Accumulating Spirit, Di Yan. It was one of the most peculiar flames on the monarch flame ranking. Although its ranking was not very high, it was rumored that this flame was one of the most unique flames on the monarch flame ranking. Those who possessed it wouldn't be able to increase their strength by even a little bit, but their soul energy would increase by a lot in an instant. It could also nourish the soul and continuously strengthen the soul. This monarch flame can be considered to be specially created for alchemists. Hearing Yi Tianqian's evaluation of the soul accumulating spirit, Di Yan, being so high, Xiao Yan couldn't help but be stunned. This was the first time he had heard of such a flame that could increase the strength of one's soul. Soul Accumulation Divine Flame. When I first became a saint, at that time, I was the judge of the Pill Assembly of the Middle Domain's Zhongtian Empire. The great elder of the Middle Domain's Pill World, whose strength had reached the saint realm, personally presided over it. It was also at that time that I witnessed the might of the Soul Accumulation Divine Flame. The moment the flame appeared, the expressions of the hundreds of thousands of genius alchemists changed dramatically. I still remember that scene until now. Unfortunately, before I died, the Grand Elder died from chi deviation during his cultivation. I wonder where the soul accumulating spirit, Di Yan, went. Xiao Yan was similarly shocked. The pill competition, which was able to make the Supreme Saint the judge, must also be of a high level. The expressions of hundreds of thousands of competitors changed drastically. Nearly 10,000 people knelt down. Although it was possible that it was because of the Great Elder's powerful strength, it was sufficient to show how terrifying the soul-accumulating spirit Di Yan was. Of course, the soul-accumulating spirit Emperor Yan's attraction to alchemists is not here. Its legend is the one that attracts the most people. Speaking up to this point, according to legend, the soul-accumulating spirit Emperor Flame and the Monarch Flame that is ranked 5th on the Monarch Flame ranking. The Sacred Soul Flame has a trace of a connection, the Sacred Soul Flame. Is it a flame that can become a kind of ultimate saint or a flame that can allow one's soul to reach the sage realm? However, the news that Yi Tianqian revealed was once again deeply shocking. Xiao Yan's mouth could not help but dry up. Soul transforming fire, damn it, just its ranking alone was enough to make people dizzy. Soul nourishing Emperor Flame, this thing, its background is actually so awesome. Hee, I've said a bunch of nonsense. In short, if you want your ancestor to revive, even if you can't obtain the soul accumulating spirit Emperor Flame, you can still obtain other rare treasures that can nourish the soul. Xiao Yan smiled bitterly, and his eyes lit up. Suddenly, he said in a low voice, Elder Yi, if the illusion is destroyed, can you leave a soul mark on it? Yi Tianqian's heart skipped a beat and he slowly nodded his head. Seeing this, Xiao Yan grinned and said with a sincere smile on his handsome face. When the time comes, I will do everything I can to help you revive. His calm voice was filled with a strong and unquestionable tone. Chapter end. Chapter 59. Become a master. The hand in his sleeve trembled slightly. Yi Tianqian smiled and said, You have a good intention, kid. However, if you want to revive my soul imprint, you need to at least reach the level of an 8th grade alchemist. Your soul force needs to be at least at the ancient stage, not to mention thousands of rare herbs. Xiao Yan's expression did not change. He still had a gentle smile on his face. After musing for a moment, he took a deep breath and said in a powerful tone, I will do my best. Xiao Yan's words seemed to be able to move Yi Tianqian's heart even more, causing the latter to actually believe him a little. With a smile on his face, he looked at Xiao Yan, but Yi Tianqian did not say anything. Pausing for a moment, he threw 2 scrolls to Xiao Yan and said, I think you only have one monarch skill that you can use. Although these 2 scrolls were only intermediate monarch skills, they were more practical. One is the movement technique monarch skill, and the other is the leg technique monarch skill. They should be helpful to you. Xiao Yan took the 2 scrolls that Yi Tianqian threw over and didn't say anything. Just now, he had already said what he wanted to say the most. As for saying thank you for these 2 scrolls, it was a little fake. I haven't lived for long. Is this little guy interested in being my last disciple? Yi Tianqian clapped his hands and said casually. Xiao Yan was shocked. A warm feeling flowed through his heart. Elder Yi had really recognized him. After calming his slightly excited heart, Xiao Yan took a deep breath. With a deep breath, he kneeled down on the ground in front of Yi Tianqian's profound eyes, and respectfully bowed as a disciple. His voice trembled slightly as he said, Disciple Xiao Yan greets teacher. In the fighting Qi continent, medicine was always his teacher that affected his entire life. He had brought him to the colorful fighting Qi continent, where he had trained for decades with blood and fire. Yao Lao's selfless help had made Xiaoyan's journey bumpy. However, he had managed to walk over safely and finally stood at the peak of the fighting Qi continent. It could be said that Yao Lao was worthy of being called the sovereign master. It was not an exaggeration to say that the fighting monarch's teacher was Xiaoyan's first teacher. After coming to the great world, it was as if Xiao Yan had returned to the lowest level of fighting Qi continent. His strength was weak, and he was filled with endless doubts and unknowns about this world. Everything depended on his own exploration. Ever since he accidentally entered the Saint Meteorite Mountain under the lead of that huge egg, Xiaoyan's exploration period had finally come to an end. Perhaps it was because the latter had saved the huge egg that Yi Tianqian had taught Xiao Yan in the beginning, but as time went by, some of the mysteries on Xiaoyan's body were gradually revealed, causing Yi Tianqian, the ultimate saint expert, to cast a sidelong glance at him. Furthermore, Xiao Yan was a fighting monarch that had broken through from the lower realm, so everything needed to be restarted. At that time, in Yi Tianqian's eyes, Xiao Yan, it was just a piece of fine jade with a strong mentality. Yi Tianqian only planned to train Xiao Yan a little. It was only when Xiao Yan condensed the prestige power spell that Yi Tianqian's nerves were truly stirred. After that, the little dragon reincarnated and recognized Xiao Yan as its master, causing Yi Tianqian to truly look at this weak junior. The following soul transformation and pill refinement caused Yi Tianqian to have a loving heart. He was thinking about how to make this perfect natural jade sculpture shine. He even had the idea of taking Xiao Yan as his disciple, but he rejected it in his heart. The reason was that he didn't know what kind of character Xiao Yan had. It was until what Xiao Yan said just now. Although it sounded a little arrogant, it sounded like a heavy hammer in Yi Tianqian's ears, making him make up his mind to take Xiao Yan as his disciple. Yi Tianqian had been living in this world for over 10,000 years. Although Xiao Yan's voice wasn't loud, there was no doubt about it. He could hear the voice in the deepest part of this young man's heart. Looking at the young man kneeling in front of him, a slight trace of excitement appeared in Yi Tianqian's deep eyes. The fists in his sleeves were clenched tightly, causing the space to distort. Haha, I have no regrets receiving a disciple like you before I die. Yi Tianqian laughed. There were tears flowing down his face. He immediately helped Xiao Yan up, a smile on his aged face. Disciple doesn't have a father in this great world. As the saying goes, I will be a father for the rest of my life. Disciple will never forget the kindness you have shown me, teacher. He said these words with some sobs. Looking at Yi Tianqian's aged face, Xiao Yan once again knelt on the ground. His head, which had not lowered in front of any powerful enemy, slammed heavily on the green rock, producing a loud thud. Yi Tianqian had helped him in the past few years. Although Xiao Yan was not very clear about it, he firmly remembered it in his heart. With Yi Tianqian's efforts over the past few years, it was worth kowtowing to him. That thump seemed to have sounded in Yi Tianqian's heart, causing him to feel slightly sour in his heart. A strange feeling quietly surged into his heart, and a layer of fog gradually appeared in his eyes that were filled with vicissitudes of life. Haha, what are you saying all this for? You are now my disciple. Then you must work even harder. At least, you can't weaken my reputation in the future. When I was alive, I had a few old rivals who had fought for my entire life. Their disciples were all monstrous geniuses. You can't be weaker than them. Yi Tianqian laughed, not knowing what to do. He helped Xiao Yan up. He quickly changed the topic and said sternly. The loud and clear reply made Xiao Yan's heart fill with lofty sentiments. One day, he would definitely let Elder Yi see with his own eyes how his disciple would bring his name to greater heights. On a tall mountain, Xiao Yan stood straight. On both of his hands, there was a ball of flame burning slowly. On his right hand, there was a chaos great monarch flame, and on his left hand, there were 3,000 lightning monarch flames. Under the control of Xiao Yan's soul, which had become much stronger, these two Xiao Yans seemed to be very obedient. Before his soul transformed, Xiao Yan already had a crazy idea about fusing these two types of monarch flames. However, because his soul was too weak, he had no choice but to give up. Now that his soul had reached the peak of the mid-true monarch stage, which was comparable to the late true monarch stage, Xiao Yan once again paid attention to this. His excited state of mind calmed down a little. At the center of his brows, an empty soul surged out and wrapped around the two monarch flame. With the help of the image transmitted from his soul, Xiao Yan could clearly feel the movement of the two monarch flame. Under the control of his soul, the fire of the two monarch flames gradually reached an average size. Then, under Xiao Yan's careful expression, his hands slowly closed together. When the two monarch flames touched each other, an extremely fierce and violent energy surged out from within. It was like several sharp swords, piercing Xiao Yan's body until it hurt. Xiao Yan's expression did not change as he let these violent energies hit his body. His eyes stared at the two monarch flames that were slowly closing in. He released his soul energy to the maximum, afraid that something unexpected would happen. With his experience that no one else in the lower realm could compare with, even if he controlled these even stronger monarch flames, under Xiao Yan's careful control, the two monarch flames finally perfectly merged together. A scarlet golden palm-sized fire lotus slowly took shape in Xiao Yan's hand as it rotated gently. At the instant the fire lotus took shape, with the fire lotus as the center, the surrounding space, which was dozens of inches in size, began to distort. Following the rotation of the fire lotus, numerous deep spatial cracks quietly appeared. When his sensitive soul force sensed the violent fire energy contained within the fire lotus, even Xiao Yan let out a sigh of surprise. The energy contained within was so powerful that it exceeded his expectations. Before Xiao Yan could rejoice, the fire lotus gently rotated. Xiao Yan suddenly felt the origin monarch key in his body being sucked away like crazy, as if it had found a vent. In just a few breaths of time, more than half of the origin monarch key had been lost. A large number of fire lotuses entered the tiny fire lotuses in front of him. The flames on the fire lotuses began to burn. An even more terrifying force slowly emerged, causing the space where he was to be located to become even more terrifying. Numerous spatial fragments were quietly destroyed. Before Xiao Yan could react, the origin monarch key within his body was already empty. An endless sense of weakness was transmitted over. Xiao Yan's body became weak and he nearly collapsed onto the ground. The rapidly increasing destructive aura of the fire lotus, which did not have the support of the origin monarch key, also stopped. It flickered with a faint red light as it rotated. A trace of destructive aura was slowly emitted. Xiao Yan's expression suddenly changed when he sensed this trace of destructive aura. He ignored the weak feeling that was transmitted from his body, and hurriedly pointed to a mountain range that was thousands of feet tall at the end of his line of sight and said, "Go." The fire lotus swept across in an instant, leaving a crimson trail in the spatial zone. It was like a bolt of lightning, disappearing from Xiao Yan's sight in an instant. As soon as the fire lotus disappeared, a faint black gold light was emitted from Xiao Yan's chest. Following which, a black and gold word appeared out of thin air. It shot towards the direction where the fire lotus had disappeared like the wind chasing the moon. The trace of destructive aura from the fire lotus had successfully drawn it out. Damn! Xiao Yan cursed in his heart. He could only pray that the fire lotus would explode before the black and gold words arrived. The pain that penetrated deep into his soul was still fresh in his mind. The moment the black gold words shot out, a loud explosive sound that could shake the heavens and earth came from a distance. Following which, a fiery red cloud rose into the sky and scattered the clouds in the sky. The shock wave caused by the explosion swiftly flattened some of the surrounding short mountain forests. Countless tall trees were turned into ashes. The explosion had just passed when a piercing pain that penetrated deep into one's soul was transmitted from the depths of one's soul. Xiao Yan immediately quivered. His exhausted body could no longer hold on and fell to the ground. A low and deep roar of pain was emitted from his throat. Freeze! Just as that scorching energy storm was about to release its final wave of attack, a faint voice sounded. After which, the surging energy storm suddenly stopped, as if it had frozen time. In the next moment, a human figure stepped out of the storm. With a wave of his sleeve, the phenomenon caused by the explosion completely dispersed. Yi Tianqian glanced at the mountain that was almost half destroyed and couldn't help but exclaim in his heart. The combination of the two types of monarch flames was actually so terrifying. This little guy was only a peak sovereign. If he became an emperor cultivation in the future, even when he was at the Saint Realm, the attack he unleashed. I suppose we can destroy half of the real forest domain. Yi Tianqian's footsteps changed. In an instant, he came to Xiaoyan's side, who was moaning in pain. When he saw Xiaoyan rolling on the ground in pain, Yi Tianqian sighed helplessly. However, from the looks of it, there was nothing wrong with what he had suffered. A month's time passed in the blink of an eye. Xiaoyan had also become more familiar with refining medicine pills. With the enhancement of the prestige power spells aura, with Xiaoyan's late true monarch stage soul, the success rate of refining medicine pills that could only be refined at the peak of the late true monarch stage was as high as 5 or 6 levels. If his soul really advanced to the late stages, the success rate would increase by another level. After successfully refining the 30 sets of Xiaoyans that Elder Yi had given him, Xiaoyan finally had a rare moment of leisure. After these few days of training, his control over his soul had already reached the stage of proficiency. The origin monarch key would not be able to increase much in a short period of time. This way, Xiaoyan had a rare moment of leisure. Sitting cross-legged on a green rock, Xiaoyan held a green scroll between his fingers. He mused for a moment before he immersed his spiritual strength into it. Currently, the monarch skill that he possessed was really too little. The 2 monarch skill that Elder Yi had given him might not be of a high grade. It was an intermediate grade monarch spell. It was suitable for the current him. His soul entered the scroll, and a small gust of wind drifted within it. After a while, the wind gathered together and formed a line of words. The first 10 or so green words were first reflected in Xiaoyan's line of sight. Intermediate monarch spell, movement skill monarch skill, 9 rotation wind roaming body. Chapter end. Chapter 60. Blue flame ruler. 9 cycles of wind roaming. The words were written in green. There seemed to be a strong sound of a storm, causing Xiaoyan's soul to feel a slight pain. However, it did not affect Xiaoyan, who had been tortured by his soul several times. Immediately, his soul force covered all of the green words and began to study them carefully. 9 revolving wind body. Although it is an intermediate monarch spell, it is comparable to an ordinary advanced movement technique, the monarch spell. I need to refine these wind beams into wind beads and absorb them into my body. A trace of wind energy will be born within my body in order to cultivate them. 9 revolving wind body. Although it is an intermediate monarch spell, it is comparable to an ordinary advanced movement technique, the monarch spell. The 9 revolving wind body is divided into 3 steps. The first step is the 3 revolving wind, the second step is the 6 revolving wind, and the third step is the 9 revolving wind body. Those who have achieved great success can move freely, as if they are riding the wind. After reading the introduction, Xiaoyan was slightly surprised. The movement technique, monarch skill, which was comparable to a high-grade monarch spell, had made up for his weakness in speed. This was the first time Xiaoyan had seen such a strange method that required him to refine the wind beam into a wind ball to absorb it into his body. Immediately, he was filled with curiosity. He carefully read the last part of the request several times. After memorizing it, his soul power shook and the hundreds of green words scattered like a breeze. The moment the green words were about to disappear, Xiaoyan's soul power suddenly increased. A wild wind swept over all the green words and then a soul pressure came from the depths of his soul like lightning. With a slight cracking sound, hundreds of green words suddenly turned into nothingness and slowly formed in Xiaoyan's powerful soul. According to the description, Xiaoyan spent 3 days to form the wind pearl this time. 3 days later, a light green medicine pill-sized bead was slowly rotating in the scroll. This was the first time Xiaoyan had used his soul power for such a long time. Xiaoyan suddenly felt a tearing pain between his eyebrows. After withdrawing his soul from the scroll, exhaustion immediately flooded over like a tide, instantly covering Xiaoyan's entire body. Spitting out a somewhat turbid breath, Xiaoyan's eyelids drooped down powerlessly. He shook his head and forcefully dispersed the sleepiness in his mind. Xiaoyan struggled to sit cross-legged and quickly forced himself into a state of cultivation. After about half a day of cultivation, Xiaoyan's eyelashes trembled, and then he opened his eyes. A ray of light flashed past, and the exhaustion in his eyes was replaced by endless vitality. His soul once again entered the scroll in his hand. A green bead that had been nourished for a long time was quietly standing in the scroll space. There was a slight sound of wind on it, and the occasional roar of a storm could be heard. With a slight movement of his soul energy, this green bead had already followed his soul and transformed into a strange ripple before disappearing. Xiaoyan, whose eyes were tightly shut, trembled slightly at this moment. That mysterious fluctuation followed his soul and strangely entered his body. In the blink of an eye, the meridians that he needed to cultivate the 9 revolving wind-roaming body were covered with a layer of pale green energy. Feeling that his body had become much lighter, Xiaoyan couldn't help but be amazed. This thing was definitely not something that an ordinary intermediate monarch spell could compare with. The thing that his teacher gave him was truly extraordinary. Following the derivation of a trace of wind energy within his body, the speed at which Xiaoyan cultivated the 9 revolving wind was suddenly much faster. In a short 1 month's time, this middle-grade movement technique, the 9 revolving wind, had already been cultivated to the second step, the 6 revolving wind. While he was cultivating the 9 revolving wind body, Xiaoyan's cultivation of the other monarch spell had not fallen behind. It was a leg technique called the 1000 Illusion Wandering Dragon Leg. It was an attack with a wide range of attacks. The force of the attack was extremely strong. With one kick, a huge rock shattered with a loud bang. The powerful force made Xiaoyan quite satisfied. Especially when the 9 revolving wind swimming body was combined with the 1000 illusion wandering dragon leg, it was extremely fast and had a powerful critical strike. That feeling of surprise attack that was impossible to guard against caused Xiaoyan to instantly kill an intermediate tier spirit beast that had reached the level of a second Dao sovereign master. Cultivation had no time. In Xiaoyan's crazy process of improving his own strength, cultivating the monarch skill, and improving his alchemy skills, as well as increasing his control over his soul and monarch flame, half a year quietly passed. When Yi Tianqian once again appeared in front of Xiaoyan, half a year had passed. In his hand, there was a weapon that Xiaoyan was extremely familiar with. It was a huge golden ruler that was about the size of a profound heavy ruler. In Xiaoyan's senses, this huge ruler in front of him was filled with a mysterious feeling, as if it had fused with a monarch flame. After the huge ruler was inserted into the ground, there was an unconcealable tiredness on Yi Tianqian's face. Looking at this disciple who was much stronger and more mature than half a year ago, a trace of gratification flashed across Yi Tianqian's deep eyes. He said with a smile, "I have seen you use a black ruler before. Now this blue flame ruler can be regarded as my introductory gift to you." Xiaoyan was shocked, but then he was moved. Although his teacher was not good at expressing his feelings, his heart was like a strand of hair. His profound heavy ruler had gone through several great battles. Although the latter was also forged from rare materials from Fighting Key Continent, it was obviously not suitable for the Great World. Elder Yi's actions were undoubtedly timely help. A trace of warmth flowed through his heart. Xiaoyan did not hesitate. He took the blue flame ruler that was inserted into the ground and held the ruler in his hand. A slight heat was transmitted over and he waved it a few times. It was also very suitable for his hands. When he heard the sound of the wind exploding in the air, Xiaoyan's eyes could not help revealing curiosity. The feeling that this blue flame ruler gave him faintly had a different feeling. The raw material of this blue flame ruler is an extremely rare blue flame refined iron. There is no limit to the great world, but the blue flame refined iron is only produced in the spirit domain. The high-grade blue flame refined iron that can be used to forge weapons with the soul is even rarer. Only a small number of major powers and families in the spirit domain have it, and it is regarded as a treasure. Ordinary people wouldn't even have the chance to see it. When I was exploring the spirit domain, I happened to encounter an outbreak of the accumulated injuries in the holy beast of a large family. It's the original form of the little black scorpion that you killed. After I refined the medicine pill and healed it, the family head wore it gratefully. He gave me this high-grade gray flame iron. You must know. The value of this grade of gray flame iron is absolutely not lower than a holy arts. Hearing the word holy arts, Xiaoyan's hand that was holding the blue flame ruler couldn't help but tremble. He looked at the blue flame ruler in his hand and the corner of his mouth twitched. This thing was actually so precious. Even if it was a large family that had been passed down for a long time, a holy arts was still a rare item. He never thought that the value of the gray flame iron would actually belong to such a legendary item. The reason why the gray flame iron is so precious is not only because it can be used to forge weapons with soul power, but also because of its memory. Memory. This was the first time Xiaoyan had heard this term, causing him to be stunned. Yes, when I first used my soul power to forge the gray flame iron, that's right. The first time I used my soul power to create the gray flame iron, I added something to its origin. There was once an expert who had added a trace of lightning origin to it when refining it. A weapon that was successfully forged would not only be able to release lightning. It could also absorb lightning from the heavens and earth and store it within its origin. It could strengthen itself and also harm enemies. While I was refining it, I added a trace of the monarch flame's origin, which also means during your battle, monarch flames can silently surge into the blue flame ruler. If you suddenly give your enemy the strongest blow. After hearing these words, the fire in Xiaoyan's eyes became even more intense. He looked at the blue flame ruler as if he was a hungry wolf staring at a piece of fat and fresh meat. This is good stuff, he sighed in his heart. Xiaoyan's heart was pounding because of Elder Yi's casual words. It was hard to guard against a hidden arrow, but it was rare to shoot a hidden arrow in a close combat. Because in an intense battle, the enemy would not give you the chance to prepare anything. Besides, the most taboo thing in a battle was to be distracted. Usually, most battles are unexpected events that are hard to predict. In a battle at this time, it was a battle of strength. However, this blue flame ruler obviously did not belong to this category. Thinking about it, in the battle, both parties were highly focused. However, the monarch flame on the blue flame ruler suddenly appeared. If one was careless in this unpredictable attack, one could only fail. It was also because of this that Xiaoyan's hand that was holding the blue flame ruler could not help but tremble. This special ability of the blue flame ruler was a big killing move that he would use against his enemies in the future. Thank you, teacher. After putting away the blue flame ruler, Xiaoyan was silent for a moment. He said softly to Elder Yi. These short words contained too much gratitude and respect. It was nothing. Besides, I can't waste that gray flame iron. Xiaoyan waved his hand with a smile. Elder Yi said again, I don't have the ruler monarch skill on me. I can't let you get familiar with this blue flame ruler as soon as possible. You can explore it yourself for the next few days. A weapon forged from high-grade gray flame essence iron, even in the spirit domain. It is also rare to see a weapon forged from high-grade gray flame essence iron. Just as he was about to nod his head in agreement, suddenly, a deafening explosion sounded in the distance. Immediately, the entire place shook slightly. As soon as Xiaoyan regained his senses, Elder Yi had already soared into the sky. With a wave of his sleeve, the massive energy that was surging over like a tidal wave slowly dissipated. With a solemn expression, he looked into the distance. After a long while, Elder Yi let out a bitter laugh. A layer of bitterness gradually surged into his eyes. Teacher, what happened? Xiaoyan flapped his heavenly phoenix wings and rose into the air. He looked into the distance and looked up at Elder Yi, who had calmed down. Hey! Elder Yi's body moved slightly and appeared beside Xiaoyan. A trace of gentleness appeared on his old face for the first time. He softly said, Teacher has made some mistakes in his prediction. How long have you been in the illusionary realm? Xiaoyan was stunned when he heard that. A bad feeling quickly rose in his heart. He thought for a while and said in a low voice, almost 3 years. 3 years. Teacher originally thought that it would take another 4 years. Sighing lightly, Elder Yi's voice did not contain any sadness or joy. At most 3 months. This illusion that has maintained for 10,000 years will dissipate. Little fellow, you should prepare to leave. Boom. This news exploded in Xiaoyan's mind like thunder from the 9 heavens. It shook Xiaoyan's head until it buzzed. He opened his mouth and was stunned. Can't bear to part with it. Elder Yi suddenly smiled and sighed. No matter how good and real this illusion realm is, it is only an illusion realm. The endless outside world is the real world. It can make you give it your all. After saying that, Elder Yi narrowed his eyes. Your blood is hot. Furthermore, a strong person. Xiao Yan nodded silently. Although his expression was still somewhat gloomy, he also calmed down. What his teacher said was right. In the end, his heart still yearned for that endless great world. An illusionary realm was an illusionary realm after all. Furthermore, what should come would come sooner or later. Disciple will never let teacher down. When Xiao Yan raised his head once again, the sadness in his eyes had already been replaced by endless determination. A kind of life force that was about to arise as he faced this brand new world arose spontaneously. All right. The word, good, also contained Elder Yi's confidence and expectation towards Xiao Yan. Looking at the disciple who was gradually revealing his outstanding head in front of him, he had reason to believe that Yi Tianshan's disciple would have a place on the list of the future experts in the great world. Chapter end. Hi guys, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.